pandering that they've been doing for their movies and TV shows with putting diverse female characters to replace male characters and putting in white women to replace male characters. I thought a lot of that was spot on, but South Park's comedy is not my type of comedy anymore. And its attempt at satire is not really satire. It's just very juvenile, trashy toilet humor. And I felt a lot of the jokes and the humor kind of fell flat for me. But I did appreciate what it was criticizing.
I'm trying to see if I can do this. Hold on.
Okay. I appreciated what they were criticizing. And that was good. I just felt that the humor fell kind of flat at times, but it was entertaining. I liked it. I would give it a 7 out of 10. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10.
I found South Park well. Granted, South Park has had that slope after people have had it removed off air. Their level of humor and comedy had degraded over time before it was taken off air.
It's been on for 26 years, yeah.
It's been on for 26 years, and at some point you do know that there will be a dry spell.
Yeah.
Granted, a lot of the humor, juvenile, well, not all the humor, but a lot of the humor was juvenile. It did get a good chuckle, it did get a good out of you.
Yeah.
It's still humorous, because you're making those sounds.
It was funny at times.
And what I found to be one of the most entertaining, what was it, Kyle? Like the whole fucking multiverse crap.
Yeah.
Like, it's so outdated. It's like nothing good to write. It's just boring, bland, and non-creative whatsoever.
I love how the female Kyle was like, she loves this woman's tits, and this woman is like, oh my god, you sound like a male. Patriarchy. Don't say that. I was like, I can see this. I see this. I can see this conversation. Not all the time, but I see this conversation.
I see this conversation on a daily basis, though not about tits.
Right.
Breasts is the correct word.
Okay.
The mammalias. Anyways, not getting into biology.
That means you saying it like that makes you a beta cuck, Steve. Because of your amount of respect towards the female anatomy. You beta cuck. You have to be a sigma male and say tits.
That shit.
That's what they say.
Listen. Anybody that says that is just a little hool. There you go.
Okay.
He gets
Yeah.
it. Anyways, that's
The Sopranos, season 3, I know.
Ralph. Let's tone it down. Before my inner talent comes out, I start like, give me my shit, and you go.
Yeah, Joe Pontiano was amazing, but back to South Park.
Anyway, but a lot of the humor was repetitive.
Right.
It felt as if the same joke was told 7 times, expecting the same result.
In like 20 minutes, yeah.
Within the span of 18, actually. Not counting the whole poor.
Give or take a minute or two, yeah.
It's like about 18 minutes of the same repetitive joke, or less.
Yeah.
The same pitch of that joke.
Yeah.
It told in a different angle, but still, it gets.
Yeah, and like a classic Disney story, it ends in a happy ending with Cartman and Kathleen Kennedy. No. I'm saying they ended the way.
No. Wait. Let me finish. Let me finish on my go.
No, go ahead. I'm just saying the way it ended.
Let me finish on my go before you go to the Disney ending.
Okay. It was a happy ending.
All those Disney movies, all those happy endings for Disney films are lies.
No, I know, but I'm saying South Park ended in a happy kind of way. Cartman and Kathleen Kennedy forgave each other.
From now on, we're gonna make original content. Whatever you say.
Yeah.
Wait.
I know. Yeah, but they forgave each other.
They're not gonna do that.
Well,
Why would they listen to you?
they forgave each other and they helped each other out. They got back to the universe and they forgave each other. So it was kind of a Disney happy ending. So, but it was cute. It wrapped up in a nice way.
Listen,
Whether it stays that way or not is whatever. That's not.
They basically made Jell-O, put it in a container, wrap it up in a wrap, gave a bow on it, and said, "Here you go,
Yeah,
Jell-O."
yeah.
But
That sums up Disney endings.
South Park, yes, they managed to tell jokes from a different point of view, and it was funny. For instance, the freaking handyman of the rich guys.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to go for a handyman certification.
Yeah, that was the other problem with the episode. I felt they were trying to criticize too much. Like they're trying to criticize society being overly lazy because of technology. They're criticizing.
It's true.
They're criticizing woke Disney for pandering and doing forced diversity in their movies and shows with their legacy characters, movies, and properties. And then they're criticizing nerds for saying dumb racist shit and sexist shit on the emails. I felt that they were trying to criticize too much, which really was 3 different things all at once.
No, you're forgetting 4th.
What was the 4th one?
The whole college thing.
College.
Then 5.
But that was in
No.
connection to the workers.
No. That was in terms of the handyman. That was
Right.
separate. That's a separate thing. But that's 4. 5 being the approach to writing when it comes to cinematography for movies and TV shows with the multiverse.
Right, but that's all.
No, but
That's also Disney too. They're criticizing.
No, but it's not just Disney doing it. Warner Brothers is doing it. Who else is doing it?
Right, but because
no,
Disney was what they were going after, you could say that that's Disney as well because they've been doing the multiverse like ad nauseum for the last 2 years. So you could still run it down to 3 things.
You could. Though if you look at the actual list,
It's a lot.
It's
It's too much.
It's a lot of things.
It's too much.
The fact
In 48 minutes.
The fact that the parental advice was mostly about using your phone. Don't even use your brain. Use your phone.
Oh god, that was so funny. They're like, don't learn things, just call the handyman. I'm like, that's the advice.
Like when the shelf is broken, like the oven, and there's a squeaking. Just call the handyman. And it's like, okay, no, don't call the handyman. Let me see if the handyman has a internship for you. Okay, no, don't do that. Just
I know,
do
they're
it
in outer space. And they're traveling out of space, and he goes to the multiverse to find so many different versions of the handyman to help out with everything.
Oh, speaking of which, the whole thing with the space was actually I want to say it's a jab towards Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk.
Yeah.
For the whole space.
Yeah.
thing.
Okay, so now
Tesla
he's 6
and,
things.
what is it, Blue Horizon?
So now it's 6 things where possible 6 things are
It's
criticized.
seven because
Now
the
we're
parent-
7.
No, because the parental advice.
Okay, so now it's 7.
Parental advice today is bad.
Yeah.
We're at 7, but it's just
Which you can still boil it down to 5. If you just take the 4th and 5th thing and merge it in with the first 3, which you can. But just multiverse and writing. Multiverse and bad writing.
listen.
That's all Disney.
How did you get a degree in screenwriting? Oh, I just champion down with the patriarchy.
Yeah.
You're getting suck at your job.
I,
Get outta here.
I tick off a box. That's how I got the job. That's the message in Hollywood. If you check off boxes, you get hired.
Listen. You know who the extra is?
They're using the same racist.
No. You know who the extra is that's always in the corner of every film? It's the same homeless guy down the street.
Well, Hollywood is using the same racist system they've always used. But in the past, they used the racist system to discriminate against minorities. And now they're using the racist system to hire any minority. It doesn't matter if they're good at the job or not. And to not hire straight white men first, even though they end up hiring straight white men first anyway, because that's what they really want to do. Or they hire straight white male mediocrity to be in charge of very expensive shows that end up sucking because of lazy hiring practices from Amazon or other studios, which is what Amazon did with Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power. They hired 2 straight white men who are mediocre, who really suck, and they made probably the shittiest first season you will ever see from a big budget show. And Raffi Jenkins is a gay white man, but he's still a white man. And so they hired him for Wheel of Time, and he sucks. He's a terrible writer. And as far as I'm concerned, he lies about being fans of the book. And the show is just a terrible adaptation. Is it an entertaining show?
Wait.
Yes. Does the show look good? Yes. But it sucks. I know. Back to South Park.
Wait.
I went off on a tangent.
On behalf of all of those leftist, sycophant, social media X-using snowflakes, how dare you?
I know.
You're homophobic.
I know. That's what they'll say. That's what they'll say.
I'm not.
And it's I'm very happy though that Brandon Sanderson. This is going to be off topic, but I'm very happy Brandon Sanderson shitted all over season 2 of Wheel of Time, because now all those snowflakes that were like criticizing people that didn't like it or saying that it's bad and pretending that this was better, he completely broke down why the show doesn't work. And he was focusing on writing and themes and story arcs that make no sense. And that's the fall of the showrunner.
Anyways, we did stray off topic.
But back to South Park.
But South Park, I enjoyed it greatly. I'd give it an 8.5. Only because of the fact that it managed to touch on a number of things. I think everyday individuals, whether you're fans or not, whether you're watching it for the first time or not, you'd enjoy it. And the fucking catapult.
Yeah.
Take that, college! Oh no, the handyman's here. He's fixing the window.
I know. They also got a handyman who was paid in total like $20,000 to fix the the contraption in the first place. I mean, that was just too funny.
I'll pay you.
To fix the catapult.
I'll pay you free therapy sessions if you fix my air conditioner.
If you fix the electricity that went out.
The outlet.
Yeah, the outlet that broke down. Yeah.
Free therapy session.
Oh god, that was great.
And you know what's funny? It took a jab at the Home Depot trope about certain people being at Home Depot waiting to be hired for work.
Yeah.
And all you find are all these people with college degrees. It's like, hey, I need 3 illegals to know how to change this. It's like, I'll give you free services. Do you need geography? Geography? Or what is it? The weatherman, the TV anchor guy, the therapist. And it's like, this is a running gag on itself.
Yeah.
That we all know is. I don't want to say it's true. I do not want to say it's true, though, despite it being relevantly stated fact, proven by one's own experience and multiple user eyes. It's a running gag. It's hilarious in many ways. Now, I think I've given a fair rating, maybe not as detailed as yours. However, before we go on to God knows what video with Ryan, whatever Sanderson.
Well, I mean, I thought I didn't like the episode as much as you did, but because the comedy just isn't as appealing. It's not. The comedy doesn't appeal to me that much like it used to, and it was exploring way too many topics and criticizing too many topics in an episode that's less than 50 minutes long. It's 48 minutes long, but still I liked it. I thought it was good. It was entertaining, and it's fine. But what I do like is that Trey Parker and Matt Stone made it safe to really criticize the dumb shit that Disney's doing, because everybody was talking about it. Because everybody was talking about it and criticizing it, but you couldn't criticize it without somebody calling you racist. You couldn't criticize it without somebody calling you sexist or misogynistic. Now, because of South Park, everybody can just say the problem. And this isn't just a problem with Disney. It's a problem with new Star Trek. It's a problem with other studios as well.
I'm going to say this, and I'll probably do a video touching on this. If you are called anything that is ick, that ends in that manner, those aren't bad things because of the fact that, or if you're called a Nazi, I don't know why you'd be called a Nazi. I don't know your politics, but unless you're a National Socialist, you're not a Nazi.
That's not true.
National Socialist. That's the term, Nazi. National and a Socialist.
No, well,
German.
Yeah, but they'll take any word that made them look good. But the reality is that they weren't any of those people. They killed so many socialists and communists. It's ridiculous.
They failed.
He killed anybody that disagreed with him. No. Communism is its own bad thing. But yeah.
No, but if you're called anything like that, it's not a bad thing nowadays. It's not a bad title. It's not this negative debuff in life. No, it's technically a badge of honor at this point because you had some millennial use a word that has now been rendered meaningless for its consistent use for anything that they disagree with.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't have an argument. It's like, but now it's bad for me because as a minority, I feel like now I'm being akin to poor, badly written television when the reality is there's too much content and they're focusing over quantity over quality. So they're hiring anybody to do the show. But they're not hiring the best people.
You know what they need to do?
They're not hiring the best people.
They need to make a show about dogs. And you know who they need to hire for writing that? Dogs.
Right. But it's just you're not hiring the best person. And the best people they could hire are busy doing their own shit. So, and a lot of times they're making their own shit instead of just having to take something that exists and then incorporate your own politics to a massive audience as if that's going to make it sell better and appeal to a massive crowd. Where in reality it turns people off because I mean, there are people who are leftists that are into politics who protest, who don't want to see politics going to a movie theater watching a superhero movie. They didn't want to go to Ant-Man 3 talking about BLM and socialism. They deal with that every day. They just want to go to be entertained. They don't want to see fucking politics in real life, you know? They just want to be entertained. People want to escape.
I'm going to say this. You said you were a minority, but I need to state this for the audience. You're fucking white.
I look white, yeah, but I'm not.
He's a dual ethnic.
Yeah, I'm half black and half white.
I'm quite ethnic.
So yeah, I would be hired in Hollywood for being biracial.
I would be hired because of the fact that I'm quite.
You're disabled. You survived cancer. You're Latino.
Not cancer. It's autoimmune disease.
Autoimmune disease. Either way, you almost died. And you had chemo.
Yeah.
It's like, so they would hire you.
I almost died. I had chemo. I'm a disabled. I'm a disabled
And if you show up in
handicap.
crutches, they'll hire you on the spot
Yeah,
too.
right.
Like, oh, this guy's
No,
physically disabled. Give him a job.
Yes.
Let him be our writer. You know, and remember Victoria's Secret? That was their initiative where they were going to have models that were disabled and fat. And then they lost so many viewers that now they're going back to putting up hot models in their show. That was so funny.
No, but
That was great.
I know this video is not meant to be touching on this, but
I know. We're still talking about South Park people.
But the
We're just
thing-
talking about everything else that they've criticized.
But the thing is, when you
That was too funny.
when you don't know why your audience is buying a product, and you want to correct the product politically for a socio-political
No, they know why their audience is doing that. They just want a new audience so they don't get criticized and get taught and be attacked by the woke leftist mob.
Listen,
And now they're
listen,
going back
I'm gonna tell you
to
this, I'm gonna
going
tell you
back to
this.
basics.
I'm gonna tell you this as somebody who's, well, I guess technically, I no matter how I look at it, I am, I guess, one of those people that is a millennial, despite the fact that I despise the term, I despise the name, I despise everybody who calls me that. If you're gonna call me something, call me Gen Y. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. Okay. But millennials, a great portion of millennials are not intelligent is the correct way to say it, and I don't mean that they weren't educated. I think
A good number.
Just
A
because
good
you
number.
went to educate, just because you went to school or college, high school, trade school, whatever, does not mean you were educated. There are people who are able to pass, get degrees, and still know nothing.
Well,
You
I
only
think,
retain 90% of the information you were taught in
Yeah.
any institution.
and activists back in the day also knew that, you know,
90% of the information is forgotten.
no, activists back in the day were protesting and fighting against real terrible things. So they didn't waste their time protesting Hollywood and movies. Whatever they got, they took, and it was fine. They got Sidney Poitier, it was awesome. They got James Brown in the 70s, that was awesome too. 60s, well, mostly 70s. And then, you know, that was all good. But they were protesting real shit, you know.
No, I have to look at you because the fact you had confused James Brown from the 60s and the 80s.
No, he was still playing football in the 60s.
No, yes.
He got into Hollywood more in the 70s.
Yes.
But he did do some small roles in the late 60s.
No, of
yeah.
course, but
I'm saying
okay.
he got bigger in the 70s. That's what I mean.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you for the clarification.
Yeah.
I was like, are you sure you know your
Yeah.
stuff now?
Yeah, because James Brown was a great football player in the 60s.
Okay.
But he didn't really become a big in movies until the 70s. And then you had O.J. Simpson that got big after the football career. But that was the representation that activists got. But they didn't care to be narcissistic and wanting to be seen all the time in movies. And also back then, those activists were smart enough to create their own movie studios and to create their own movies and art. I mean,
that's a
the
video I
black
would love to do now.
exploitation cinema was created by black actors and writers and directors. So they were making their own things. They weren't taking something that white people did and then try to turn it black because they didn't want to waste their time doing that shit when they could make their own stuff for their own culture. And it was smart. Now it's almost like the opposite. It's like
I do want to say this. I want to get back to South Park before we go any further.
all right, back to South Park.
Wait.
Finish off South Park.
I think Matt and Trey have done something that may allow them the opportunity to return with South Park as an icon series once again. The problem is whether or not they'll be able to hold a consistency and if they'll be able to stretch out what it is that they want to do.
They may at the right time.
Entering the Panaverse. Okay, yes, it was entertaining. It opened the floodgates for a lot of things. However, it did way too much within too little.
Yeah.
And it's something they could have done well with maybe in episode 2, episode 3. They could have done it for multiple episodes. And from what I hear, there's going to be more episodes. It's just, they could have drawn the story out a little bit longer, even if it was a shorter episode.
Yeah, I think so. I think they opened the floodgates and they made the episode at the right time when Disney and Marvel are making a lot of bad content. There's a lot of chaos behind the scenes.
Star Wars
Movies are flopping, and it's like you can't hide it anymore, and the show media can't pretend anymore. And the Marvels is getting bad reviews. It looks like it's going to flop badly. The opening weekend, this weekend, is going to be a disaster. And Disney's stock is going to plunge. It's going to have it's probably going to have open to less than $60 million on opening weekend, which is almost
I think less than that.
it's almost a 70% 80% drop from the first
What if
movie.
it does worse than the Flash?
I think
That'll
it could.
be
I think it will.
hilarious.
I think it will. I think it's going to do just as bad. I think it's going to do just as bad.
So I saw.
It's not going to be as big of a flop as Indy 5. Indy 5 was the biggest flop of the year because of how expensive it was. Indy 5 cost $300 million.
Well, apparently the Marvels,
And it's made $300 million.
Apparently the Marvels was costing more than $300 million for production.
No, Indy 5 was way more expensive.
We'll find out. Don't forget.
I looked up the actual budget. The Marvels cost about $250 million, and that also includes the reshoots. Indy 5 was well above $300 million, and that was in the middle of them doing reshoots as well. That movie was insanely expensive. But also Indy 5 had the same bullshit too, where they're trying to replace Indiana Jones with a young, powerful female feminist that nobody gave a shit about. And she was an asshole throughout the entire movie for no fucking reason.
Listen, I'm gonna say this to you now, ladies.
That's the
and
view of feminazism, is women being assholes and being okay with it and defending it.
I saw a video earlier where a woman was trying to lift more than a guy, and they were bench pressing. She was bench pressing, but her form was atrocious and horrible. If she had truly done it properly, I think she may have done a number.
Did you see the Andrew Tate video where he destroyed an all-female feminist podcast?
Yeah.
No, you saw what happened, right? There was a guy that came to his house with a gun, and he was trying to shoot him and to kill him. And Andrew Tate just walked to the guy. He walked to the front door to confront him, and all the women on the podcast just ducked and run and ran out of the house. And that happened live. That was so funny.
I saw it. Listen, I'm gonna say this now.
And those women were like, I'm stronger than a man. I'm physically stronger than a man. I'm this and that. That was just so funny.
Let me say this, and we'll end it here before we get to our next video.
That shit had me dying.
Let me say this, and we'll end it here. Then we'll go to our next video.
Okay.
When it comes,
South Park, 7 out of 10. South Park for you?
I think it's
8.5.
8.5.
8.5. Okay, go ahead.
But I want to say this for that Andrew Tate thing because you brought it up. I want to comment.
Yeah, it's so funny.
In the moment where death is standing right there at your doorstep, right before you, waiting for you, you will find the true character and colors of any individual, no matter what.
Yeah, no matter the gender, obviously.
No matter what. No matter what individual. Because if gender is an involved thing, then you're gonna have the whole freaking Twitter.
Well, it doesn't matter the sex, doesn't matter the gender, And Andrew Tate is an MMA fighter. He was a multi-fighter, so he's not really afraid of a lot of things.
No.
Things don't shake him up like that. And fighters have incredible confidence. And there are women who are fighters that have that same confidence, and there are women in the military who have that same confidence. Not those women. No, not that podcast. No.
Listen. I believe they were all in California.
It was so funny.
Which makes it obvious they're not anything that they claim to be. They're in California.
There are a lot of military people in California.
No. On the podcast.
Oh, not on the podcast. Yeah.
On the podcast where Andrew Tate was on. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
They were.
But you're saying
they're most definitely based in California.
Right. I know, but
you're all talk.
Right, but you're making it out like people in California.
I did not say anything like that.
Yeah, you were. You were making a huge general statement.
I said the people on the podcast.
It was like people in California do not have courage. That's what you're saying, right?
A lot of them don't.
See, I told you.
Their feelings. Show the camera. My feelings.
Well, Texas does have more military bases. That's beside the point. But there are plenty of tough people in California, just not in that podcast. It's okay. All right, so we're going to end this video here.
We're going to end
it here. All right, because we got to move on and talk about the SAG strike and the SAG deal. We're going to talk about that. So that's the end of this video. We're going to do video number 2. So I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
I'm going to apologize to you.